Colby, don't forget what we have to do before the podcast starts.
What's that, Barry?
Gratitude.
Ding, ding.
What's going on, guys? My name is Barry.
And this is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This.
Theme music.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the second week of Festival de Cannes movies.
The Cannes Film Festival.
I know in my mind it's Cannes Film Festival, but for some reason it's just so much more fun saying Festival de Cannes.
Festival de Cannes.
I know.
When you say it that way, I just assume that all these movies are going to be subtitled.
This one was.
It was, yep.
Oh man, this movie is so with any movie from the Cannes Festival, right? I think there's some sort of artsy fartsy meaning behind it. So I have something for that, and I think we'll get to that portion after we talk about the movie or how the movie goes, right?
Yeah.
But before we get into the movie, we have to do our movie trailer. And I was too busy messing around with my French press today that I couldn't write one out for you guys.
You were messing with your French press so you couldn't watch the French movie?
I couldn't write the French trailer.
French trailer?
Right. But here we go. Free balling it. Commando. Move over, Teen Wolf. Move over, American Werewolf in London, because there's finally a French werewolf in France. A movie about a 17-year-old 6th grade dropout, Teddy, as he lives his meager life in this meager town with his meager girlfriend. What trouble can one 6th grade dropout get? Or how much trouble can he get into in this small town? I think we're going to have to find out in 2020's Teddy. Oh, Colby, I wanted to, so before we actually talk about it, I wanted to get your first thoughts from just watching this trailer. Because we both thought it was something different, right?
Right, yes.
Like, what did you think?
I did not expect it to be just like a full-on werewolf movie. Right. Like, because we were kind of throwing around the idea that it was going to be like his like imaginary friend or something like that. Yeah, because like, it's all in his imagination.
Yeah, because like
especially since they show him take mushrooms in every trailer.
Right? And especially because like when you see the movie poster for this, it's him, and right behind him there's something coming out of like a locker or some sort of metal sheeting. Right,
and it's definitely a hand, but it doesn't look like a werewolf hand. Like, so
French werewolves are just different,
Right.
Over there, I think they call them lycanthropes.
Yes.
Or lichens, whatever. Like, whatever fancy word the French one it is. But, today, in respects to watching a French movie, I had to buy a French press.
Right, and you're drinking that French coffee right now.
Right. I can't finish it because it is kind of later in the night, and if I drink this, I
chug it, and then you'll be up till like 3 in the morning.
3, 4 in the morning. But let's go ahead and dive head first into this movie. We start off this movie with some old lady in a cottage.
Oh, right. I was like, how did this start? But you're right.
Yeah, she's eating, I don't know, like French soup.
Gruel. Something.
Like one of the funniest things to me is like, there's this old line from a show or a movie from a long time ago where they're like, well, like, if you're in China, is it still called Chinese food? He's like, no, fool, it's just called food. So this lady might not be eating French soup, but it's soup in France.
Right, yeah.
But all of a sudden the lights cut out. So she's like, oh no, the generator has gone out. So she gets out, she pulls on it. But then we start hearing like a little growl. And she's like, oh, is anybody there? And then we see blood splatter onto the onto the window.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great because I don't know if this is a low budget film, but for the budget that they had, I think they used it very smart.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah, and generally since the festival films are usually independent, they usually don't have a huge budget behind them, so
Yeah,
you gotta work with what you got.
exactly, right. And the thing about it is, especially with like werewolf movies, one of the things that like we look for, at least I look for, is a magnificent or like a very gruesome transformation scene.
Yeah, because the transformations usually either makes it or breaks it. You're either like, oh, this movie is awesome, or oh my goodness, Sci-Fi Channel, put some money in your budget.
But we'll talk about that scene. But just from this scene, I was like, okay, I can get sort of a scope of how they were using their budget. Very minimal, but they use it at the right points, so it doesn't feel wasteful or whatever. It doesn't feel So after that, we get a cut of they're doing some sort of ceremony in the city square, and there's like people gathered around. There's a kid from probably in the French ROTC program in high school.
Yep.
And he's there to sing the national anthem.
Yeah.
And
I am not familiar with the French national anthem, but I feel like he like William hunged it.
Yeah.
Like it sounded like that's not how it's supposed to go.
Yeah, but later we find out he's like a part of the choir, so he should be better at this, right?
Right.
But hey, when I was in choir in high school, I would just lip sync, so maybe that's what he does too, right?
But you were in choir for the ladies.
Oh, exactly. Yes, that is definitely one of the reasons. It was either choir or theater. I was like, oh no, theater. I need more memorization to go through.
Right.
But then we get introduced to our main character because he starts giggling as this kid Benjamin is trying to sing. Fucking asshole. Then we get introduced to our main character, who's Teddy, this bald kid. No, he's not bald, but he has like a shaved head.
Yeah.
His style choices are pretty grunge.
Yeah.
Grungy, right?
Yep.
It kind of looks like the French version of Sid from Toy Story. But we follow it. This is our main character, right? And so we see him go through his day. He's first he makes a stop at his girlfriend's house. Her parents do not like him because he's a 6th grade dropout. But he sneaks in. It doesn't even sneak in. No, he just goes through the
he bangs on the door and they just ignore him. So he just like walks around the back, comes through the sliding door.
Yeah, and then and then he goes to bang their daughter, which I'm like, what?
Right.
An Asian family could never.
Yes, I was like, oh, France is a little different than America. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, because later we see another very like what portion, right? But yeah, they're doing it in the shower, and then they lay down. And he's like, you came, right? Stuff that like a 17-year-old would say to their first love or whatever.
Yep.
But they have like a nice little relationship going, and then Teddy leaves. He goes home. He sees his aunt, who is in a vegetative kind of state.
Right. Yeah, a larger, older lady who just kind of every time you see her, she's just sitting there and
not saying anything, not responsive. I don't know if that's his uncle or if he's a caretaker or a family friend. It doesn't really, they don't clarify.
They don't. I definitely got that he was like family.
Yeah, maybe like an older cousin.
Yeah. Like you said, like maybe an uncle.
Yeah, he's weird too, but
maybe
weird
even,
in the best way.
like a step uncle. Maybe it's like
step uncle. Oh no, step uncle, I'm stuck. Yeah, and so we see Teddy has a pretty decent life. Like no one's no one's really shitting on him, at least like at his home. Right. We find out,
and even though he seems disrespectful, he's still caring because you see him feeding feeding the aunt,
taking care of her. Like, I think he's the only one that works in the house, and so we find out that he actually works at a massage parlor.
Right.
Well, not massage parlor. I guess massage envy.
Yeah.
And he's massaging the mayor, and he's like, "Do my feet." And he's like, "No, sorry."
He said something like he was trying to be a cook, but
he tried to work at a fast food restaurant, but the restaurant closed, and the temp agency sent him there.
Yeah.
But he's like telling this mayor, he's like, "No, you ordered the Saigon. If you wanted your feet rubbed, you should have got the Beijing."
Right, like the different packages.
I thought it was funny, and then his boss comes in, he's like, "Just do it," because it's the mayor of the town, so you need that. That good job, right? Or that good press or word or whatever, because this is a small town. But we find out that there's like a really turbulent relationship between him and his boss.
Yes.
She's kind of creepy.
She's like a lonely middle-aged woman who runs a massage parlor, and pretty much after she rubs people all day long, she's feeling frisky.
Oh,
but it's kind of what I got from that.
I don't know if it was like from the first time or the second time where we see Teddy get assaulted. I can't remember which part of it is, but when Teddy gets home, I think it was before he tried to get to his job. He goes through the it was the second time. Second time that he got assaulted by his lunch lady boss. Because before that, he goes, like, he's trying to leave, but he hears something in the woods, so he goes to check it out, which I don't know why you would ever do that.
Right. Oh, and the police have been investigating wild livestock kills.
Oh yeah,
and
like it looks like a wolf, right?
Yeah, and so he keeps asking it's a small town, so that everybody knows everybody. So he kind of keeps bugging the police chief, and like, is it a wolf?
Yeah.
And the police chief's just like, shut up, Teddy, go home.
You were fucking with us enough this morning, right? Get out of here. But we find out that Teddy has some sort of like, at least some lofty dreams, right? He wants to build a home for him and his girlfriend.
Right.
He's always out on this hill trying to stake it out. He even has like those little flags to sort of map out how big he wants the house. So he has like he has a dream, even though he has a 6th grade dropout.
Yeah, and he's got some ambition, because he's like, I don't care what, if I have to get 2-3 jobs, I don't care what it takes. Like, I will be successful so that we can get this house and we can but have a kid or 2.
Yeah, we find that out later, but we do find out that his ambition ends at this house in their hometown. Right. Which, everybody's like, if you grew up in a hometown, you're always trying to leave.
Especially little small town.
Yeah, Oh, yeah, small town. If you're from a small town, you're always definitely trying to leave. You want to live in a bigger city. You want to, hear the city noise and enjoy the city life. And, if you're 17 and, especially, like for Rebecca, she's like, this can't be it for me.
Right.
But yeah, we find out, Teddy, this movie is a lot of just, it's almost like there's a genre in anime called slice of life, where it's just a show about people living their lives, which a lot of people enjoy. And this is what this movie is. Primarily, you just watch Teddy like go through the motions of his life. Right. Yep. Right. But as the attacks keep happening in this town, people start to get more scared. Yeah. They start forming mobs. French people love to form mobs. The French Revolution. Come on, guys. But we see Teddy go through his life, and he after he gets bit by the wolf, right? He starts to change a little bit, right? We first notice it when Teddy takes some mushroom with his girlfriend. And, you know, she's like, oh, okay, so wait, before that, there's a scene where he's sleeping, and then he's at the foot of the aunt's bed, and he unveils that foot like it's a Christmas ham. And I was like, what is he doing right now?
Yep.
And then he bites into it, but we find out it's a dream. And so after that, that's when he goes to Rebecca's house. They're hanging out, you know, and then they take shrooms after the parents leave. And she's like, oh, at least in my translation, she's like, lick me, Teddy. And so, you know, he starts to perform on her.
Right.
But, you know, I'm trying to think about a food, and all I can think about are baguettes, but that's what he has. But he starts to get way too into it, and she's like, it hurts, stop. And he like immediately jumps off. He looks in the mirror and he dips.
Yeah.
When he gets home, he starts to look at his tongue, and it's hairy. And this is like one of the scenes I was like, oh, this is too hard to watch, because he is trying to shave off
his tongue.
Oh, it was hard. It was like, ooh, like that's where I thought it was a great use of like cutting away and just making us know that we know what's happening, right, but not showing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that at this point is more effective.
Oh, definitely.
Than like, you know, because like it's easy to show it now with the right budget, and it's still disturbing, but like when you cut away and not show it, and
yeah, especially when they cut to the sink and there's like little drops of blood, and you hear his like whimpering, yeah, and you know how hard he's whacking, yeah, where he's like,
especially when he goes for the full tongue,
yeah,
like, and you see like, and I think that's smart filmmaking, because it makes you use your imagination, and your imagination tends to be way worse.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And so Teddy goes to the doctor. He's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no hair on your tongue. And Teddy's like, well, I just did some shrooms with my girlfriend. And he's like, okay, fucking genius. Don't you think that could have been it?
Right. Yeah. Stop doing the mushrooms. Right. And then if your tongue gets hairy again, you know, maybe you're turning into a werewolf, and come see me.
And so after this, Teddy goes back to work, and he has to start. He's like rubbing some lady's foot.
Yeah.
And she's like, Teddy, you have to do it with more gratitude.
Right. Because she comes in and she's like, what are you missing? And he's like, well, I've got this oil. I've got this soundtrack, and I'm playing, you know, tracks 3, 6, and 9. Yeah. And like, he's got it down, but she's like, but you're not showing gratitude, and it's the massage is going to come across poorly if you're not in the right mood.
Right. Even the lady's like, it's fine right now.
Right. And he's like, do you need more gratitude? And she's like, no, I'm good.
But she ends up taking over, and she ends up taking over
because she wants Teddy to go unclog the toilet.
God. And so this kid is trying to unclog this toilet, and he just fists it. And I was like, and then he yaks, obviously. But it could be due to the prior night, because he had killed a whole bunch of livestock. Right? We get to start like seeing moments where he's like zoning out, and then slowly the wolf is coming.
Yeah.
To thing, right?
Yeah, he kind of zones out, and he wakes up the next morning, and he's like naked in the park.
Yeah, and this is after he gets sexually assaulted by his boss, and I had to skip through that. I was like, nope, this is nope. And then this night, he is the aggressive one, and I also had to skip through that. I was like, this is way too long. There's a lot of like nipping at each other, licking, tongue wagging out.
Yeah.
Like, nope. Like, let me skip like 2-3 minutes. I was like, oh my god, it's still going. And I finally got to the part where it stops, and he bites her tongue and spits it out.
Yep.
Oh god. And then of course, the police come in the morning. You know, he wakes up bloodied in a tub.
Yeah.
And they're like, Well, I'm sorry. I'm skipping another thing. So prior to this event happening, he actually goes to a party that Rebecca had invited him to. She's like, "Oh, we're about to have exams. You know, my friends are gonna have a party. Do you want to come by?" And Teddy is trying to, be really positive about this whole situation,
be the supportive
right?
boyfriend. Yeah,
Yeah. And so, like, before this, though, he had to wax some guy, and Benjamin again is like there to be like fucking antagonizing.
Yeah,
he's like, "Come on, do the butthole or the butt crack," and he's like waving like 1,000 francs in his face, and then he ends up doing it, and I think that's the money he used to pay for all this alcohol. And then we get a cut of the party after he like practices the speech. He's like, "Oh, everyone gather around, gather around." A pretty decent speech.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, "All right, well, you guys are all going to pass. No one's going to fail. And so, when you guys pass, you guys can treat me to a drink. But tonight, it's on me." So, like, decent dude.
Definitely.
Right? He brung, like, at least, like, $200 worth of alcohol.
Right, yeah. He's got at least 6 or 8 bottles.
Which is, very...
For a party of only 6 or 8 people, or I guess maybe 10 people.
Yeah, it was a pretty big party, right? But then we get a cut of like, Benjamin again, like, he's trying to look like, oh, nice guy. He's like, "Everyone, you're gonna become a lawyer. You're gonna become this. You're gonna have a daughter. I don't know where I'm going with my life, but I hope I get to see you guys along the way."
Yep.
Like if you didn't know the guy, good speech. Because the guy, he's a fucking monster. But as he's delivering this speech, you see Rebecca look at him like, "Oh, I'm totally gonna dick him down."
Because she's definitely like, this is the successful guy from our class. This is gonna be the guy who's gonna do something with his life. And I'm becoming more and more attracted to ambition than Teddy was. Teddy was a fun high school boyfriend, but once you get like to that graduation, you want the guy who's gonna
keep up with you at least.
Yeah.
Right? Because, Rebecca has some goals of herself, too, because she says, like, later on in the movie, she's like, "I'm going to be in school at least 10 years. So I was like, oh, she's going to do something.
Right.
Right? But, yeah, like, Teddy and Benjamin get into a fight because Benjamin's like, "Why are you here?" He finds out that he's freaking Rebecca's boyfriend, and she's kind of standoffish about it. She's like, "Yeah, he's my guy." And then we learn that her and Benjamin have been friends since the 3rd grade. And except for the 5th grade where they had to separate because they kept talking too much. Right. And he takes another jab at Teddy. He's like, "You would know that if you didn't fucking drop out at 6th grade, idiot." Which we do find out that Teddy doesn't have parents, so that could be like one of the factors why he dropped out.
Right.
But they get into a fight. We don't see who wins the fight.
No, and it's kind of I don't know.
It's a girly fight.
Yeah. It's like watching like Will Ferrell and Step Brothers, like them fighting. Like
it's exactly like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly fighting. Because actually, I rescind my girl fight because I've seen girl fights and they're like way worse than guys sometimes. They're pulling hair, scratching at their face. But Teddy dips out. He's like, "Fuck this place." He throws the bottles away, and then she stops Chase. And so,
because she really kind of doesn't seem to like back him because he's like, "Yeah, she's my girlfriend," and then like the other guy looks over her and she's just kind of like,
Well, she's like, "That's my guy." Yeah,
but it's not like,
but she's
"You
like,
leave him alone. That's my man."
Yeah, she's like, "That's my boyfriend." But so the next time that so after the incident with the boss, he goes over to her house. And she's at this point, she's not having it because the whole town is like, "It's you. You're the one who did this. You're the only 2 people that work there. It has to be you."
Right, yeah. The police show up in the morning at the massage parlor and this lady's unconscious with her tongue bitten out.
Yeah.
And certainly not a wild animal didn't open the door and come in and
fucking bite her tongue off, right? But, Teddy's trying to dissuade it. He's like, come on, you're gonna go to college. I'm gonna work. I won't cause any trouble. I'm gonna make enough money to set up this house. I'll even make a room for you. Rebecca's study. No one and come in. We'll have a kid. Fuck it, maybe 2.
Yep.
And and she's just like, I'm not coming back. And she drops the bomb. She's like, I don't love you as much as you love me. And that's, it's young love, right? It's high school love. Yep. Yeah, that's devastating for certain people to hear. And, Teddy fights. He's like, no, I'm not going to let you go. But, he ends up having to leave. Yeah, I think he's like, at this point, he's trying to think about what he's going to do. But then he writes his letter. And I think he's already accepted it, right?
Yeah.
But he wants to write Rebecca a letter, and he's like...
And it's kind of like a
pretty heartfelt letter.
Yeah, and it's kind of I understand that you need a break, and you need to do your life, but, I'm here when you're ready.
Right? But, he's like, you were the best part of my life, and all that stuff, so... And so he wants to drop it off at her house.
Right.
So he goes through the window that he always goes through, and he leaves it, but then Rebecca comes out. She comes out naked, and he's like, oh, this might be one of the last times I get to see her naked. Let me be a creep for a little bit. Which I was like, oh, that's kind of creepy, but I kind of understand. Like,
right. And not that it justifies it, but he has at least seen her naked before, so it's not like totally like guy hanging out in the bushes.
Yeah, and if this is gonna help him kind of move on, fine.
Right.
No, this is terrible. He should have left.
Yes,
he should have left.
Yeah,
right. You feel so bad for the guy, and you want to fight for him, but it's like, no, it's unacceptable. But as she's getting ready, another bloke comes out, and they're like, oh, and you just know it's Benjamin.
Yep.
And Benjamin's like, oh, I don't think we have time. And she's like, oh, we have time, all right.
Right.
And then the dad comes in, he's like, we gotta go, you two. And Benjamin pops out fucking naked, and he's like, oh yeah, we'll be there, Pops.
And he's like, okay, well, we'll wait in the car for you guys then.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't care who you are. You're not going to do that in my house. And then Teddy freaks out. He starts running, and, I forgot what happens after this, because now the only thing I remember... Oh, no, yeah, he goes... what's it called? He goes back home, and he hugs his uncle, right?
Right.
And, his uncle had painted a fucking cross on his thing. And he knows what Teddy is at this point.
Yeah.
There's no hiding it. He's seen the blood stains around the house. So they perform some weird ritual. And then I think he's just like, I have to let him do this. It's
like a blessing, because they painted a big cross, big crucifix on the wall behind his bed, and he has the little smoke. And so it's kind of like a blessing, because he thinks that Teddy's like possessed.
Right? Something, right? But... Teddy goes to the little function that Rebecca was planning to go to. It's a little choir show, like a little community charity probably that's happening. It's a bingo night, and Teddy's there. And I think this is like the best way for them to have done the transformation scene, because you get a little bit and it's enough. Right? Because we see Teddy, he's in his like little goth boots and he's in this stall. You only see his feet, but then you start seeing he drops his rings.
Yep.
And then you start to see blood drop everywhere. And I was like, oh, because before this you see him pull off one of his nails, and that was like another hard scene to watch.
Right? That was good.
Yeah, it's like the little things, right? But in this one, he is fully wolfing out, and there's like skin coming off of him. Yeah. It is a great way to do the transformation scene. And then we have very slight CGI here, because then we finally see Teddy be full wolf, but just his eyes. Yeah. Right? And then so he wreaks havoc onto this community center, and he just decimates everybody inside of it. I think before he transformed, he chained up all the fucking doors.
Yep. Yeah.
Cut off all the lights, and he is hunting everybody in this building, and he saves Rebecca for last. And this is like a great scene because she peeks out, and all you see down the hallway are his eyes.
Right.
And then he like comes out of the shadow so slightly that you see the shape. And, you know, like, it's great that they made him stay far away, because then, you know, this budget's small. The CGI is sci-fi level. You saw it from when you saw him in in the wolf, when he goes to the eye. I was like, oh, that's pretty CG. It's pretty bad. But like from that distance, you see the outline, and you see him wearing his shirt. The shirt was fucking stretched out with the body, even though the feet couldn't handle the wolf feet, and it looks great. It is such a good scene. And then after that, you know, we see the carnage of what happened in the morning, and Teddy wakes up in the ravine, and there's already cops there chasing after him. He shakes them, gets home, but, you know, everyone's already, like, you know, he's eating cereal. His uncle pours him a bowl.
Yeah.
And they have this moment, you know, Teddy cries because he knows what's about to happen.
Right.
And so his uncle forces him up to go upstairs, and there's like a tarp laid out. And I think this is, and
this is the first time that the cops aren't being like total douchebags to him. Like, they're like, okay, angry mob with pitchforks, we're the police. We're going to go in. We're going to take care of this.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to overrun this house.
Exactly. But they end up doing it. But before they can get to Teddy, his uncle shoots him.
Yeah.
Which, you know what's going to happen. His uncle already has a suspicion. And I think this probably was like the best outcome because it's quick and clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus what the mob might have done to him, you know, like, you know, we already know from history what French people and mobs like to do. Friggin' hell. And the movie ends with everyone pouring out of the house, and Rebecca with scratches on her back.
Yep.
Is just in awe of what happens. And we roll credits. They have a scene in the credits where they're dancing together and having this moment. Mm-hmm. And the movie just ends. So before we get down to like our little analysis and moments in the movie, let's go ahead and do our other segment, high star, low star. And because this movie is pretty, it's an art film, there's not a lot of reviews on it from where we get our normal reviews. So Kobe, go ahead and do our 4-star.
4-star by Kim. Different way to tell it. I found it refreshing in that it's a different way of telling the same old story. It's the boy on the verge of puberty, has plans, he works, he loses his girlfriend. I find more of that would happen in real life. Not the same old, told without all the special effects. Sorry, I liked it.
Don't ever be sorry, Kim. Don't ever be sorry that you liked the movie. All right, and then we have this freaking jag-off with the 1 star. Bentley, almost nothing happens. Imagine a werewolf horror movie where every attack happens off screen or out of sight. Imagine in the transformation to the werewolf, the protagonist has some inexplicable tiny changes that are more gross and creepy body horror than wolf-like. Imagine that in the process of the protagonist going feral, he mildly bites one person. Oh my god, this guy uses imagine a lot. Imagine that when he finally goes full werewolf at almost the very end of the movie, you don't see the transformation and you don't actually see what he ends up looking like. Imagine, you finally think you will see him kill a large number of people and it all happens off screen and all but one isn't even filmed. Imagine no one is ripped apart. They just end up in the floor covered in fake blood. You don't see it. I wish I could say it's about the story, but there's nothing there either. You really don't like Teddy. You don't like anyone in the movie. You don't like anyone's decisions. Everyone is dull and undynamic. They're frankly weird sometimes. I guess there's an incel rampage allegory, but even that ends up uninteresting. Save your time. Watch literally any other werewolf movie, even if it sucks. It can't suck this much. This guy just doesn't get this movie.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, if you're looking for big budget Hollywood werewolf movie, yeah, this is not going to quench your thirst.
Yeah, and there's not even an incel rampage allegory because Teddy has a girlfriend.
Right.
He's not celibate, involuntary celibate, you know? He's pretty friendly, he's pretty sociable for the most part. He's what's it called? He's at least not combative or anything. He doesn't blame anybody for his situation. So that's not the allegory that they were going for. I think the allegory from like how I saw this movie is that there's some people when you transition from teenager to like a full-fledged adult,
right,
that change is hard for some people, and especially for someone in Teddy's situation where he's a 6th grade dropout. He doesn't really have any big prospects coming to him.
Right, and living in a small town, there's not a lot of...
Yeah, there's not a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
Right, but he at least has a goal where he wants to at least build a house for the woman that he loves.
Right.
And so, yeah, like that's how I saw this werewolf movie. It was that the change is something that he couldn't handle. And so whether this might have been, I don't know, imaginary werewolf attacks and he just went full Columbine. You know, or you know, he did go full werewolf, but you know, obviously it's a werewolf movie, so that's what they have to show. But I think that's what I saw, like as far as like metaphorically. Our 1-star guy is saying that the characters are undynamic or uninteresting, but I was like, this is just a small town life,
right?
You know, you have bullies, they're acting out because there's nothing else to do.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they're the big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, and it's the kids from the rich family, you know.
Yeah.
That are the bullies because, you know,
they're rich.
He even says that he's like, welcome to my house, and Teddy's like, it's not your house, it's your parents' house.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, at least I have parents. I was like, that's a low blow, you fucking dick.
Yeah, exactly.
But Colby, what did you like about this movie, though?
I really did enjoy it. Like it had I felt like it had a good story that you know, ran all the way through. There was, you know, like we were talking about earlier, like I love the way that they hid some of the transformations, some of the murders and stuff like that. Like here, this dumb old Bentley doesn't like anything, but like all that stuff that he doesn't like, I thought they did a great job with what, you know, with what they were working with.
Yeah, I thought that.
I'd rather you use your budget wisely and kind of do those things off scene and allude to them than to not spend your money wisely and have just some terribly done CG or whatever,
or obvious guy in a suit.
right, yeah.
I think this is like a really solid way of telling the story, like in a different way. You know, he says Teddy is unlikable, but as you watch the movie, you kind of get where Teddy's coming from.
Right, and it's at the beginning he's like he's a dick. Yeah, he's a douchebag like teenager, and you don't like him, but you start to see him taking care of his aunt, and you know how much he cares about the girl, and you know how he's trying, and like you learn to like him, and by the end you really feel for him.
Yeah, like the kid is, you know, like as rough as he could have, you know, dealt drugs or anything. He's putting in the work at this job that he just hates.
Right. Yeah.
But he's learned it. He knows like all the essential. He knows all the oils, all the tracks that he has to play. He knows the packages.
Right.
So the kid isn't slacking off. He's really trying to work, and when he's trying to beg Rebecca, he's like, I won't cause any trouble for you. I'm going to work hard. I'll find a job that gives me a lot of money so you can be comfortable and study.
Yep.
The kid looked like he was prepared to do anything for this girl, for the person that he loves, and for his aunt, who's probably like his last living relative, the aunt and uncle. And so like I think he was extremely likable. Like they could have really just dicked him up.
Yeah.
Just like did you ever watch that Sleepaway Camp, like Sleepaway Camp 5 or something? Where it was like in 2007.
I have only seen the first one.
Okay, yeah, because you could skip, like, they're all kind of shitty. Like I watched through them and I was like, oh, this is all crap. But the fifth one, the fifth one, the original guy came back, the original director.
Oh, okay.
And you could tell like he didn't really practice making more movies, and he just makes this one character who's like super unlikable. Like he's like this overweight kid that's a fucking annoying brat. And he runs around and he acts like an incel. And you're like, oh, dude, fuck that guy. and Teddy could have definitely gone this route. He could have gone super unlikable. And he could have gone, like, blaming everybody else. But he didn't.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's great how they use the transformation. Like, this one-star guy is like, oh, you don't even get to see the transformations, and you don't see him get to rip people apart. It's like, what happens. We're so oversaturated with, like, that kind of media. Like, how could you just not imagine it?
Right, exactly. And I was like, with little chunks of, like, just skin falling to the floor and the crack underneath the stall. I thought that was a fantastic. You could see, I was visualizing him peeling that skin off.
Oh, yeah.
And so like it was a great way to do it.
Yeah, I could just imagine, like, as the skin is falling off, that little mucus membrane that is still attaching, it's coming off slightly. And and then you see the carnage that happens in the morning, and you just, like, it's like reading a book. You're imagining how all these people died.
Right, yep.
And it's pretty freaking gruesome.
Yeah.
Like, there's dudes with, like, chunks missing out of them, people with their freaking throat slashed.
Yeah,
and this is, like, making the best of your situation.
Right.
At its finest.
So, like, they always talk about, like, American Werewolf in London being, like, that movie that, like, set the bar for what. But I always felt like at that movie, there was so much nothing happening, like, the first half of the movie. And then they spent, like, their whole budget on, like, that couple transformation scenes, which were
amazing.
Which were for the time, yeah, absolutely amazing. But, like, I almost felt this had more, like, heart in it and more story in it than that.
Yeah. Yeah, because like, thinking back, I'm trying to remember how American Werewolf London is that, like, I don't think it had the same amount of character development.
Right. And like in that one, it was him and his best friend who had died, who was then, like, in his imagination. Yeah. Like, and becoming more and more decomposed, was like, hey, you gotta die, because if you, I'm stuck here I can't go to, wherever, heaven or whatever. Yeah. If you're still alive, that's part of your curse, is I'm going to follow you. And, so it was like that weird, like, kill yourself kind of,
so I can move on.
Yeah. And then, like, here, like, it was like, that was kind of the uncle. Like, he was the uncle was like his
conscience or something like that,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Also, like the situation with Rebecca, you know, boy or girl, you can totally understand if you've ever been on the receiving end of that conversation.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because she was like, you were fun. You're great this last 8 months.
Right.
It was fun being with you, but I'm going to go to school for 10 years. I have bigger dreams.
Yeah, I'm definitely outgrowing you and outgrowing this town. And
Right.
I'm not coming back. Yeah.
Exactly. And so you understand her situation too, it's like you're both young, for the time it's awesome.
Right.
But, sometimes it's time to let go. And, if Teddy didn't see her and Benjamin fornicating in the closet that he has fornicated with her plenty of times with, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I think this movie would have totally been a different movie after that.
Yeah.
I don't, he might have, but I love this original ending where, like, he dies at the end and, he lets her live because even when he's in his werewolf state, he knows
He still cares enough to let her. Yeah.
Well, he had to scratch her first, So, like, let's talk about that, right? Is she a werewolf?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Right? Because I don't know. Like, every werewolf movie has its own rules.
Right.
If you get scratched, you become a werewolf. Or
Right.
you have to get bitten to become a werewolf. So like, then it becomes like, did he care about her enough to let her live, or did he want to give her a curse before he knew he was gonna die?
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that till you said that. Now that's super interesting. Or was it like almost like if you're a werewolf and I'm a werewolf, then we're stuck with each other?
Oh, that's another route this movie could have possibly went, right? He would curse her,
Right.
But then we get a whole different movie, right? Because then she's like, I don't want to be with you. You did this. I'm gonna start my own pact, and we're gonna have a full underworld werewolf battle.
Yep.
But yeah, so the ending of this movie is pretty ambiguous to where Rebecca is gonna be at.
Right.
Yeah, like what do you want her to? How would you want her life after this to be like?
I don't know. It's almost like you would understand that he gave her the curse because she was not. Like I said, it's understandable that she's moving on.
Yeah, she's outgrowing people, right?
But yeah, like it was like they broke up that morning, and the next, like later on that afternoon, he comes to give her this like letter, and
This heartfelt letter,
and she's already like moved on,
right? Or like,
yeah. So it definitely makes you feel like, oh,
like who do you side with?
When they had that conversation earlier, she was already moved on. She had already tested the water somewhere else and was like, yeah, this is.
You mean after at the party they had hooked up?
That's kind of what I was.
Right, Benjamin is up there, Mademoiselle.
Yeah.
Daddy is no good for you. This is a terrible French accent. It's so Pepe Le Pew. I'm sorry, everybody. But yeah, like, like on one hand, you're like, all right, maybe she isn't cursed and she gets to live her life, but this is always going to be this like PTSD type of inducing trauma that she has. Mm-hmm. So like, that's just like another form. That's like another curse, because then you're like, like, oh, I know it was Teddy because I cheated on him, or
yeah,
they're French, they're so they're so open about sex and stuff like that. So it could be normal, but then now she's gonna be all Americanized about it. She's like, no, if I cheat on him, he's gonna kill an entire community center full of people. So it's hard, like, like, do you want her to be a werewolf? and possibly die the same way because she can't control the urges and die like Teddy, or do you want her to not be cursed but have to live with this scarring incident?
I'm right. Yeah, that's man. Like now I'll go to bed tonight and I let it just like ponder in my head, and then I'll come up with something in the morning, and I'll be like, "Oh, I should have thought of that for the podcast." Addendum 1. Yeah.
Right, next week you could say it right before we start the other movie. You could be like, "Well, hold on." So,
right. Yep.
Now that I've had
that's
time,
what lots of times I like to, after I watch the movie, I give it like 24 hours in my head. Sometimes I'll watch it a second time if it's something that's like deep, and then I like, once like I've formulated my like hypothesis and my theories and my feelings on the movie, then I'll go and like I'll watch other people's reviews, because lots of times like they will say stuff like this and it'll make me think, and then I'll be like, oh, now I have another 24 hours
talking point
where I can let that brew into my previous theories, and so then I'm like, my brain's all good for the podcast. But since this was a French movie and
the reviews are sparse,
yeah, and they're all like 2 minutes long,
yeah, and it's pretty much just telling you the plot of the movie,
right? Oh yeah, you should see this. It's good. Werewolves, go.
Right. I hate those YouTubes that are like, this movie explained, and then they just talk about the plot and they're like, huh, crazy movie, right?
Right.
You're like, dude, you didn't explain anything. You just told me about the movie I just watched. But yeah, I think for me, I think this was sort of a coming of age type of movie where, it's coming from the other side where like the people can't accept the changes that are happening, and the things that maybe you were in love with or aren't there for you anymore, so you kind of give up. That's how sad I saw this.
Right. Yeah, like you've lost your parents, you're living in poverty, you're taking care of like this invalid aunt, the one good thing in your life is your girlfriend, and then she's just like,
sorry,
I'm out of here because I found a guy who's got more ambition than you.
Which is also like a fair thing to want, right?
Right.
So yeah, this movie was good. It was good. All right, let's get to our reviews. If this is the first time you guys are joining us, thank you for joining us. We do our reviews in 4 sections. We have Stream It, DVD It, Blu-ray It, and Ultimate Werewolf Collection.
So they said that the director had it's 2 brothers, and they have done one other movie. Oh. But it's also in French, so when they said the name, and it did not stick in my head.
It's Sodom. It's the movie Sodom.
And then the main actor was in, or Teddy was in. He's in at least a dozen movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a child actor, but he's been pretty consistently putting stuff out.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I liked him. I liked his acting in this one. It was
and he looks way different with hair.
Right, you could say that about a lot of people that shave their head, right? Like, oh my god, the hair changes.
I don't know what we would get in a ultimate box collection.
Other werewolf movies, probably. A Werewolf in Paris.
But yeah, I'm gonna pick this up. I'll pick this up on Blu-ray. This is solid. Solid. Definitely, rewatchable.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in the same boat. I think this is,
especially now that we talked and have come up with some points. Now I'm gonna rewatch it this week anyway, just to like clarify things in my head.
You're gonna watch it with Teresa?
She does not like to read her movies.
Maybe there's an English dub somewhere. With shitty English dub.
That's a possibility.
Right. Yeah. No. I think this is a pretty solid movie. Definitely worth it for Blu-ray if you like, especially if you like werewolf like movies. This is sort of telling the same old tale in a different way, kind of using it as coming of age film with werewolf stuff thrown in there.
Right.
You know, because I think this movie could have done away with the werewolf stuff, and I think it would have been like a gritty or like a drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think because like I like movies like that where like if you take away one aspect of it, is this still a good movie? And this definitely I think fits the bill. Like even if you took away the werewolf aspect, you know, it could have been just like a drama where maybe he murders Benjamin.
Right.
Like old school style with a knife or something. Yeah, then it could have been, you know, a totally different thing. But like could the movie have spun that way and still have been a great movie? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like Teddy could have just shown like little psychopathic tendencies where he's killing small animals. And yeah, see, like totally good movie. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode for our Cannes Film Festival month.
Right.
Hopefully we'll find another thinker for next week.
I really love like the film festival movies. I don't know, big into like that low budget where you have to kind of rely more on the script than on the
effects.
Yeah.
I think it's because like these directors don't have any studios interfering with their vision.
Oh, that's right.
And so
you don't have to
we get
prove
to
every line of script.
Yeah, right. Or like, oh, we can't do that one. That's too much of a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
And you know, this is like what cinema used to be like when I was growing up. Like, yeah, I mean, I kind of missed on the 80s, but then like, would we have movies like Blade Runner and Running Man with freaking Arnold? What's the movie where he's in freaking Mars?
Oh, Total Recall.
Like, will we have movies like Total Recall? Will we have movies like freaking Terminator? You know, like back then there were no properties to really remake.
Right.
And so we got to get a whole bunch of original movies where the studio didn't have some sort of what's called like a benchmark to go off of.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's why like these film festival movies are so good, because we get to see so many, like we have a variety of stories that we get to watch. And
yeah, and it's almost like they put these movies out and they're like their goal is to make their money back and then to promote themselves. So they're like, hey, if I put out an independent film and we break even, and some big theater, some big company sees my talent, I can move up into like these bigger roles.
Yeah, like I know like the goal is like to get recognized by studios. If the movie is popular enough, it can pick up a distributor to get onto DVD and Blu-ray and streaming services.
Right.
Yeah, like, you know, and unfortunately not enough, like they could only, you know, people could only pick up so many different type of movies that you get to hear about.
Right. Yeah.
Because the film festival is probably littered with movies that have never even seen the light of day.
Right. You hear about people go to a film festival and they're like, I saw, 18 movies this weekend. And like 4 of them I wanted to see, but I couldn't get into because they were sold out or because it was scheduling conflict or whatever.
Right, and you end up watching a movie, you're like, I didn't even want to watch this movie, and it was fucking amazing. But unfortunately, like what's it called, like Dale and Tucker, was a movie that got shelved for like 2 years until someone picked it up. And it's a shame, right? All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us this week. We always appreciate you. Down on our show notes, we have our Amazon affiliate links. You're gonna go shopping anyway. Might as well help out your possibly favorite podcast.
Definitely your favorite podcast, or at least your favorite movie podcast.
Right.
And of course, we've got our Facebook. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of us. So, write us, give us some comments, some likes, some shares, give us some suggestions of what you want us to see. And, we'll do our best to accommodate you.
But thank you guys for joining us. My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This. If you guys want to check out it as our theme music, it is Lee Rosevere. It's called Arcade Montage. It's on her album Music for Podcast 3. And her Bandcamp is down below.
Thank you.